I think a lot of us thought the Tigers were going to be good this year, but I didn't think they were going to be this good.
You are Locked On MLB Crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hello, baseball fans, and welcome to a Locked On MLB, Locked On Tigers crossover. This is the podcast where we talk either about the Detroit Tigers or all of Major League Baseball all season long. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. And follow us at Locked On MLB Pods on Twitter or whatever they're calling it these days, and on Instagram. I'm your pal Sully, Sully Baseball Podcast on Instagram, and I'm available right here on the YouTubes. But I'm not flying solo today. No, this is a crossover episode, and I've had more than one person's complained to me saying, "Am I ignoring the Tigers?" Yes, I have it out for the Tigers. I hate the Tigers. No, it just we're going to talk about the Tigers now. Relax, and guess what? Scott Bentley from Locked On Tigers is here to help me out and do a lot of the heavy lifting. How are you doing, Scott?
I'm great, man. I always a pleasure to hop on. Also, I don't know if you did it just because I'm on, or if you always have the turkey poster back there. But
nope.
So I live downtown, and that field is right around the corner from me, actually.
Well, Vanessa Ivy Rose, who's Turkey Stearns' granddaughter and the host of the Reclaimed podcast, has been a guest on my podcast for long before I did Locked On. She was on the old Sully Baseball podcast and has become a great friend. And I always have Turkey over my shoulder.
Detroit Stars legend right there. Yes, sir.
And I went to see his plaque at the Hall of Fame last year, and they have a great picture of him in one of the galleries they have there in Cooperstown. And yes, I Zillow Cooperstown all the time because, let's face it, I got to live there eventually. Hey, before we dive into an American League Central sandwich, let's go to the trivia question. We talked about on the last episode the Dodgers and the Giants, and I asked the question, who was the first manager of the San Francisco Giants? Not the first manager of the Giants altogether, but of the San Francisco Giants. Do you know the answer, Scott Bentley?
I don't think I do. I don't think I do.
Well, it was not Scott Bentley, by the way, but John Italia-Z8J got it right. It was Bill Rigney, who took over for Leo DeRocher after DeRocher, he was a great manager and managed to alienate everyone he ever worked with. Right. But before Alvin Dark, who somehow was less enlightened about things than Leo DeRocher was. That's all I'll say very kindly about Alvin Dark, who didn't have the best things to say about his team, which was predominantly African-American and Latin. Let's make sure to badmouth Willie Mays, Willie McCovey, Orlando Cepeda, and Juan Marichal. Good call, buddy.
Right.
But Bill Rigney was the manager who's the first San Francisco Giant manager when they played in Seals Stadium, which is right now a Safeway supermarket down the street from my old job at KQED in San Francisco. I digress. Hey, at the beginning of the year, I talked about how the American League is filled with parity, and that the American League Central, I basically said there was probably going to be about 10 out of the 15 American League teams were going to finish within 5 games of each other. And I thought the American League Central was going to be an absolute traffic jam. And it is for second, third, and fourth place. But holy cow, the Detroit Tigers, as of this recording, have the second best record in baseball, second only to the Phillies. They have a better record than the Yankees. They have a better record than the Dodgers. They have a better record than San Diego. And I thought the Tigers were going to be good, but I really didn't see they were going to be this good coming into this year.
I didn't either. If that makes you feel any better. I had them at, I want to say, a mid-80s win total, and kind of being in the thick of things, throughout the season, playing competitive ball all year. But no, this has been Essentially, like the most simple way I can put it is like we knew the pitching was going to be good. Okay, they have a very very talented rotation. Their bullpen was absolutely incredible last year. We knew that the pitching was going to be good. The question was, are they going to get enough offense to justify to pair with to marry with that pitching?
Right.
And so far this season, they have legitimately been one of the better offenses in all of baseball, which
Yeah.
a soul on the planet expected, and if you say you did, you're lying. And so that's what happens. Like, right? Like if you have really good pitching and really good hitting, guess what? You're going to win a lot of baseball games. And that's pretty much what has gotten us to this point, is like the offense has just significantly exceeded everybody's expectations.
Here's another thing that I just want to, point out. Like the Yankees have a huge lead right now in the American League East. And I think a big part of that is, Judge and Max Fried have been amazing, but also there's been a lot of underachieving teams in the AL
For
East.
sure.
I mean, obviously the Orioles are the most incredible underachiever. The Red Sox are sub 500, Toronto is sub 500, Tampa Bay is barely above 500, and the Yankees are playing well. But that's not the case with Detroit. Minnesota went on a huge rampage. They're 5 games above 500. Kansas City has a winning record. Cleveland is a pretty good team, 5 games above 500 right now.
Cleveland just took 3 or 4 from us last weekend.
And all of those teams would be within like a game of first place in the AL West. I mean, so
Right.
this is not an instance of, oh man, they're in a division with a bunch of clunkers. No, they're right now they're in a division, as I've been doing the summer score, where I've been keeping track of which teams are playoff teams. Right now, the Guardians, the Tigers, the Twins, and the Royals are all either playoff teams or within a game.
Right.
And so the Tigers are playing wonderful baseball in a competitive division who, lest we forget, also sent 3 teams to the postseason last year.
Yeah, and the Twins had a collapse and finished a game out. Like they were, on the final series of the weekend or of the season, they were, fighting for a spot too. Yeah.
Well, look, they need to make sure that they don't collapse and fall asleep down the stretch.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes if you don't want to fall asleep down the stretch, yeah, you need some good coffee. And on that note, let's be real. The Twins fell down the stretch last night because they didn't have the right coffee.
You're right.
They should have got a subscription to Trade Coffee. When you're gearing up to try to compete in a competitive American League Central, do you know what? You need that little pick-me-up. And that's why I should start Minnesota. Just listen to me. You should start with a perfect cup of coffee crafted just for you. Enter Trade. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the United States, including Minnesota, delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Say that 3 times fast. Whether you're a cold brew fan, pour over purist, you know what? They've got a roast that you would like. Now, listen. Now, Scott, are you a coffee man? Are you a coffee drinker?
My roommate and I had Trade yesterday.
Yeah. And we are going to be approaching the trade deadline, but don't worry, you can have Trade even after that. And do you know what you need to do? You need to take the quiz, and they will send you the best coffee. And I mean, this is fresh. It smelled amazing. Minnesota Twins, listen, you open it up, you go, "Brah!" And it takes you over, and you feel unbelievable. But guess what? Sometimes the first match isn't perfect, and Trade will trade it, replace it for free until they get it just right. Okay? It's like having the draft over and over again. So we're going to keep doing it until we draft Harper. And you know what? The prices are comparable to a grocery store brand. So don't think this is going to be, break the bank for you. But the flavor, that's on another level. So listen to me right now. Minnesota Twins and any other contender. Trade is exclusively offering all customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmb. I didn't say that clearly, so let me say it again. That's TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. That's drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. the Tigers were able to pull off that very rare thing last year where they were able to trade away a player, get a good player back for them, and then sign the player again when they hit free agency. People always fantasize about doing that.
Yep.
And the Tigers actually pulled that off. When they made the Jack Flaherty trade to Los Angeles and got themselves a shortstop for their troubles, and were able to get Flaherty back. Flaherty's pitched well. Reese Olson's pitched well. But oh boy, Tarek Skubal is looking like, I mean, right as of this recording, is 92 strikeouts in 68 and 2/3 innings. And only 7 walks. 92 strikeouts to 7 walks. Now, I'm not the best at stats. I think that's good.
He went on a 5-start stretch where he had 1 total walk across 5 starts in a row.
Yeah. It's amazing what happens when you throw strikes.
It is.
I used to yell when I coached Little League. Good things happen when you throw strikes.
Yep.
But the thing, then I do my Who Owns Baseball every day, where I do my daily MVP for each day. And there was a period of time I was just typing Riley Green in ink.
Yeah.
Because like day after day, it's not that he has the best stats. He only leads the league in one category, strikeouts. But it just seems like of his 12 home runs, it seems like all of them have come at a crucial moment. Riley Green is one of those players who's the stat people are going to look and say, I don't understand the big deal. And Tiger fans are going to be like, no, you don't understand the big deal, because he'll get 1 hit and it'll be a bases clearing double.
Yeah, that's the other thing with him too, is his stats are almost I don't know, like kind of watered down, just because he went on a stretch in early mid-April where he legitimately went like 1 for 35 or 40 over a stretch of like a couple of weeks. Outside of that, he has, an OPS over 900 and has been phenomenal. That's a slippery slope. You can't really take out like just bad performances, right? Like that's part of it. But he just had a really, really awful 2 weeks in the middle of April. And outside of that, he has been one of the best hitters in the American League. The only downside is, to your point, that he doesn't get very many ball and play outs. If the ball's in play, he's getting on base or it's a strikeout.
Sometimes you can, when you make a trade, I know some people who really love to look at WAR. The Tigers made a great trade where they traded a player who had last year had a negative 1.1 WAR, and trade him for someone who right now has a positive 1.4 WAR. And that's when they traded lousy Javier Baez for usable Javier Baez. Right. And it's amazing. Like the first couple of years, after the signing him from the Mets, and his first year was a disappointment. His second year was just lousy. And last year, I don't think he was even on the playoff roster. I think he was hurt. But even if he wasn't hurt, I know he played as many playoff games as I did.
Right.
And it's amazing when you're like, what are we going to do with him? Should they DFA him? No, let's find a place for him. He was once a legitimate all-star. And while he's not going to be the player he was for Chicago 7 or 8 years ago, pretty good is better than awful. So they traded awful for pretty good. And right there, that to me, that's a sign of what this team is.
Yeah, I completely agree. And, the rap that Javi has got over the years from this fan base, like he has been absolutely dragged through the mud, and,
rightfully so. He's been a bust before this year.
For sure. Taking it in the teeth, and he's never complained about it, never said a word. And for him to come out and he's changed his approach a little bit, and he is still chasing at balls that are 3 feet out of the strike zone. It's just he's actually putting the balls in play that are in the zone, which is what he did when he was good, right? Like he's always been the swing and miss guy that would chase a bunch. It's just he did damage on those pitches that were in the zone. And so he's back to doing that again, which is really nice. But the most incredible thing about Javi this year is actually not even in the batter's box. It's the fact that he is playing plus defense in center field for the Detroit Tigers in 2025 in his mid-30s. That is absolutely absurd, and is not something that ever should have been uttered. But when 5 injuries happen in spring training and they're all the center fielders. They have to figure something out. They throw Javi out there. He ends up being like a really good defense. He's positive in like 90th or 85th percentile and outs above average in center field. Like, he's legitimately good out there. He was a defensive sub in center field last night. Like, he's good out there. And that is paired with the fact that he's actually hitting decently well for the first time in 4 years has made for a really, really fun season for him.
And the two acquisitions from last year's pennant-winning Yankee team. I mean, you can't ask for better relief than you're getting from Tommy Kahnle right now. And having a veteran like that in your bullpen that I mean, there's always a little bit of the chicken or the egg. Does a good rotation mean, lead to a good bullpen, or does the good bullpen support the rotation? I think the answer is yes. Yes, they both do. You need to have your starting pitchers go 6 or some odd innings, so you're not dragging your poor relievers to 5 or 6 innings a game. But at the same time, you need to be able to, if the pitcher does need relief, to hand it off. And Will Vest and Kahnle, Hunter, Holton, the pitchers have been pretty reliable out of the bullpen. And that's, and they're also, and I give a lot of credit to Hinch, because I'm not a big believer in what I call the tyranny of the save, which is always turning to the same guy in the 9th inning, no matter what.
Right.
You see that he brings in the best pitcher for that situation.
Right.
And I think that will rely on you have to rely on different pitchers. You can't constantly turn to the same person, because what I say, people act like, okay, when Joe Torre had Mariano Rivera, he always turned to Rivera. Or if
he's
you have
the
someone
best in every situation, though.
Right. But if you had like an elite closer, if you had like, Brad Lidge that one year in Philadelphia.
Class A last year.
Yeah, Class A last year. Uehara with the Red Sox in 2013. A bunch of years when Billy Wagner was pitching. Yeah, but if you don't have a Rivera, a Hoffman, a Lee Smith, a Uehara from that year, if you don't have that person that is that, the centerpiece of the bingo card, then don't act like you do.
Right.
It's like if you have a movie star like Tom Cruise, you put his face on the freaking poster. If your movie star is someone who's not as big as Tom Cruise, you don't put their face on the poster, and you put a lot of different faces, and some are wearing their Spider-Man masks and some are not. And this is, they don't have a Tom Cruise bullpen; they have an Avengers Infinity War. Right. This, by the way, this analogy makes complete sense in my head, and you have to.
Oh, I'm with you. I'm right there with you. I think it does make sense, and I think you're absolutely right. Like, this is, and to be honest, like you mentioned Hinch, he is the mastermind. Like, I cannot actually express into words how valuable he is to this organization and this team. He is, the reason the Tigers went on the crazy run where they had 0.2% chance of making the playoffs at the trade deadline and then made it after selling. Right. Like that reason why is because of pitching chaos is what everybody called it here. And that's what the media called it. Right. Like, AJ Hinch just knows exactly who the best reliever is in every situation. And he will only put guys in the situation where he knows they're going to succeed. And for some guys, that is, the heart of the lineup in the bottom of the 9th inning of a 1-run game. And for some guys, that's, like there's a guy named Chase Lee who no one knew about going into this season, and now is, like the right-handed hitting specialist that just mows down every single righty he faces on the season. Like, he just knows exactly what buttons to push and when to push them. And it's led to now going on, 2 years of absolutely phenomenal reliever production and bullpen production from the Tigers.
All right, when we come back, I want to talk a little bit about the 100-game run that the Tigers are on, and whether or not the carriage may turn into a pumpkin, and which teams are, scaring Scott the most. Get the supplies you need from the site made for skilled trades, Supply House. Whether you're in plumbing, HVAC, or electrical work, Supply House is the reliable way to order products online. Their easy-to-use website is packed with helpful resources and the latest product info to help you get the job done right. Plus, with a complete inventory of over 200,000 parts from more than 400 top brands, you'll find exactly what you need and delivered fast from coast to coast. You need help with an order? Supply House offers expert support and industry-leading service, so you'll always talk to a real person. And for trade pros looking for an extra edge, their free Trade Master program offers exclusive perks like a dedicated phone line, free shipping, and discounts on every order. Thousands of skilled professionals already are taking advantage of Supply House, and now it's your turn. Join the Trade Master program today at supplyhouse.com/TM and start ordering plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies with just a few clicks. Use promo code SH5 for 5% off your first order. That's supplyhouse.com. Supplyhouse.com. That's Scott Bentley from Locked on Tigers. If you're a fan of Locked on Tigers, I'm your pal Sully. In the last 100 games, right now the Tigers are 37-20. Okay, we're 57 games in, and I went back. I took the last 43 games of the season last year. So in their last 100 games, the Tigers are 67-33. That's a 670 winning percentage in a 100-game sample size. This is not how did you do in April. This is more than half a season. They're playing better. That's better than winning 2 out of every 3. And when you consider that most series you play with a team are 3 games, that means for the last 100 games, they're doing better than winning every series. That's how you go from, I guess, should we trade Scooble? I don't know, to holy crap, we're in the division series. And taking that momentum into this year. And there's about 2/3 of the season left. I want to ask you 2 questions. Question 1, what's the one area need they have to address to clinch the American League Central and hopefully move on to get into the World Series for the first time since they faced the Giants in 2012? And which American League Central team scares you the most?
So I'll start with the areas of need conversation. This is something I'm like pretty open about and fluid with. When we break down games on my show, no matter if they win by 100 or lose by 100, we talk about what went right and what went wrong. So like, there's always things to improve on and areas to focus on like that. I think there's 2 glaring ones. If you ask me to pick one, I'm going to say, I know we just talked about how great the bullpen has been. The bullpen's been fantastic, but the bullpen also does not get strikeouts. And when you look at the entire bullpen, top to bottom, outside of Will Vest, nobody in there has a high strikeout rate. And they're very good at getting weak contact and ground balls, and that's awesome. Mm-hmm. But when you get into, especially, those meaningful games in September, and then even more so October, you need to be able to rely on somebody to go out there and get a strikeout in a big moment. You got a man on third, 1 out. Who are you going to turn to, right, to get out of that jam? Like, who are you going to get out to make sure that the ball's not put in play? And again, outside of Will Vest, they just don't really have that on a consistent basis. So I think that they will be, going into the trade deadline in a position where they want to add a high whiff rate, high strikeout rate type of reliever to this team. And then, you could always add offense. That's kind of every team could probably say that in some capacity. But I think, adding swing and miss relievers is big. As far as the AL Central, it's not like the most surprising answer ever, but it's just gonna perpetually be Cleveland, man. Like they have the Tigers fan base literally. I think they genuinely believe that Cleveland has like this dark magic thing going on where they They have like a negative 20 run differential, and yet they're like well over 500. They haven't gotten very good pitching. Their offense is like fine, but
Their
it's
offense
really
is
like
terrible.
right. It's
Their offense
J
is
Ram and
it's
then
a
a bunch
mess.
of other people, right? J Ram and Stephen Kwan, and then like everybody else. Like,
Yeah.
and yet they win games, and so like I'm not terrified of Kansas City. It's a good team that I respect a lot. And like Bobby Witt Jr. and that pitching staff are great. Minnesota, as you mentioned earlier, went and won whatever it was, 11, 12 in a row at one point. They have an offense that I think at its best can go toe-to-toe with anybody. Obviously, the White Sox aren't included in this, but like everybody else is like, okay, like these are respectable teams. Cleveland terrifies me because they win and they don't make sense for how they win. And because my brain can't comprehend, they just took 3 or 4 from us this weekend. We have the second highest win total in baseball. They literally just took 3 or 4 in a 4-game set from us 5 days ago. So it's just going to continue to be, Cleveland's always been the thorn in the Tigers' side for the last 10 years. And that I'm going to go under the assumption that that's going to continue to be the case until proven otherwise.
I'll make a case for Kansas City.
Sure.
I'll make a case for KC. I think Chris Bubeck is having a terrific year as a all-star caliber
faced him
starter
this weekend.
Yeah, and he's terrific. Lorenzen's a decent pitcher. Waka can pitch well. Lugo can pitch well.
Yeah. They have great starting pitching.
The starting pitching, and their bullpen's been pretty good. Estevez has pitched well. Daniel Lynch the fourth. The first 3 Daniel Lynch is not so good, but the fourth one, he's turning it in.
Yeah, he's a hitter.
He's a lot better than the old man, the grandpa, the great grandpa.
Right.
Lucas Erceg, who they stole from Oakland last year.
Yeah, he's great.
He's good. But so they have decent pitching, and they also have the best player in the division.
Yeah.
And when you have the best player in the division in Bobby Witt Jr., and I don't think it's close. I mean, no offense to any hitter on the Tigers.
It's him and Tarek and J-Ram. Like they're kind of the 3 of them are kind of in a league of their own, and Witt just put up a 10-win season. I don't think you're going to get much pushback there. Yeah.
And I think if Kansas City, because they just cut off Hunter Renfroe, I think if they acquire, again, a lot of teams need to acquire a decent hitter. But if they have one other bat, doesn't have to be an all-star. That's why the pressure is off of another hitter because of Witt. They just need to have a really good hitter or a good platoon.
Yeah.
Then to sort of bring that offense to a slightly higher level, they have the pitching staff to not go on a prolonged losing streak. And there's a lot of a house of cards going on with Cleveland right now. Clase's not having the same year he had last year. All those Jackenzie Noels and all those players who got some big hits last year have been terrible this year.
Yeah.
And I get nervous when a team is winning with smoke and mirrors because they could just as easily fall apart.
Collapse.
Yeah. There are examples of teams who have held it off. The most obvious one, Baltimore in 2012 and the Diamondbacks had a negative run differential in 2007 and won 90 games. Yeah. So sometimes it happens. But Kansas City has the pitching.
Yeah.
And they have the superstar. And I think they're 7 games back right now, but there's 2/3 of the season to go.
A lot of time.
And as the Tigers show to us, you can turn things around in an awful hurry. And whenever you have good pitching and a superstar, that's the reason. And again, that's no disrespect to Cleveland. That's no disrespect to Minnesota. Tons of disrespect to the White Sox. But I do think for me, the Royals are the team that I would be. Yeah, I think they're a playoff team. I absolutely think they're a playoff team. And I think they could, because they have the pitching, could go on that kind of stretch that 7 turns into 4, turns into 3, and then you wake up and it's September if they're only a game and a half back.
No, yeah, and that's we play them this weekend in Kansas City, and I just told everybody on Locked On Tigers, for the preview this weekend, like this is a really important series. Like you can't you gotta keep your foot down on the division. You can't let people crawl back into it, and they have the starting pitching really to go toe-to-toe with anybody in the division or the American League. And it's literally just a matter of anybody else not named Bobby Witt Jr. waking up offensively. Vinny Pasquantino has not been good. Jonathan India, who they traded for, has not been good at all. It's just go down the lineup card. Salvador Perez is finally human and not just like going to play until he's 50 and hit 50 homers every year. Like they are just their lineup is really brutal right now outside of Bobby Witt. And so that is the biggest question. If they get any sign of life from anybody else, then I'm right there with you. Absolutely.
And do you ever feel badly for with the Vinny Pasquantino slump? Is the dude who's dressed up as the Sasquatch at the Royals game? Because a lot of times he's just sitting in the back, he's reading newspaper.
And last year he was hurt, right? So he's gone. This guy's been just out of a job for 2 years now. I mean, golly.
I hope that's not his only gig. I hope he has another function at Kauffman Stadium. Other than
pay well. What if he gets like 401k and benefits from being the Sasquatch guy?
It could be a SAG job. I don't know.
Yeah.
It could be
that'd be kind of sad if, they weren't paying minor league players livable wage, but they were paying the Sasquatch guy. I guess that'd kind of be a problem, but
no, but yes, that's the sort of thing that enters my brain. Hey, let's do the trivia question here. The trivia question is this, and I'm sure you know the answer to this, but I'll throw this out here. How many players in Tiger history have amassed 400 home runs as a Tiger? That's the trivia question. How many Tigers have amassed 400 home runs as a Tiger? Put your answer down there on the YouTube. Don't you answer it, Scott. I know you. I can see your face, and you know the answer. You're a Tiger fan, but this is Locked On MLB. For Locked On Tiger fans, I know you're going to nail this one. But for Locked On MLB fans, I want to see those answers coming about from there. Hey, Scott, where can people listen to your terrific show?
Well, you can check it out over at Locked On Tigers. You can follow me on whatever it's called, whatever you said, Twitter, X, whatever, at Bentley Scotty. I also, if you're listening to Locked On MLB and you are a Red Wings fan in the NHL for some reason, I'm also a co-host over there at Locked On Red Wings.
Look at that. I admit, I am completely rooting for Edmonton. We have a rematch of last year. I just think it's time to have a Canadian team win again. I remember
okay with McDavid getting a ring. I can live with that.
Oh, there you go. And my team is the San Jose Sharks, and they didn't do piddly poo this year. So there you go. Sometimes you gotta deal with the hand that's been dealt to you. Thanks so much for making Locked On MLB your first listen today. For your second listen, obviously listen to Locked On Tigers. But for your third listen, come back here and check out the new Locked On MLB Game Night. Every game, every night, all season long. Get local analysis on a national scale. Find MLB Game Night right here on the Locked On MLB channel on the YouTubes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Talking about the Tigers and their terrific 100-game stretch. Will they stretch it out for another 2/3 of a season? Or will Cleveland or Kansas City rise from the proverbial ashes? With Scott Bentley of Locked On Tigers, this has been a Locked On MLB, Locked On Tigers crossover. I am your host, Paul Francis Sullivan. Please call me Sully.